everyone, and welcome to Nonprofit Enthusiast Live. I'm your host, Lasheena Williams, and so excited to be back here with you all. We have very special guests from Alive today, and we're going to be talking about International Volunteer Managers Day coming up on November 5th. So if you haven't planned anything at your organization, you got about less than a month to make it happen. But not only that, we got ways today that we're going to share that you can get involved. So before we get started, I'm just going to ask that we go around and everyone just introduce themselves and talk a little bit about your nonprofit and journey, and then how you ended up in the role that you're in now.
Well, I'll kick it off. Hi, my name is Nicole R. Smith, and I'm the Executive Director of the Association of Leaders in Volunteer Engagement, better known as Alive. And my nonprofit journey started for me right at about when I was about 25 years old. I started my own nonprofit dance company, and I grew it and took it to Texas and grew it some more. And then I fell in love and I dropped it. And, that's a whole nother story. We could talk about love another day. People do crazy things for love. But anyway, it was one of the most amazing and meaningful times of my life, being able to share my love of music and dance with kids and after school programs and travel around. And that's where I fell in love with nonprofit. And I later, eventually kind of grew up and went different ways and ended up working at radio stations, and then found my way back into nonprofit through the arts. And ever since then, I've been in nonprofit and have loved it. And this opportunity arose here at this wonderful organization that really focuses on supporting volunteer managers. And it was just right at my alley. And so that's kind of like the short and end of it.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Marianne?
Yes. Hi, I'm Marianne Mugani, all the way here in Nairobi, Kenya. And my nonprofit journey is very, it's very new, because I just joined nonprofit through Alive. I'm a real estate professional. I've been doing it for the past 5 years. And then I wanted to have a more fulfilling job where I could be able to give back to the community, make an impact where I can at least say that I have helped someone. And so I joined Alive through the career development program. And I'm currently a participant there, and it's been amazing. And yeah, that's basically my nonprofit journey so far.
Thank you. Thank you. And welcome to the nonprofit arena. Awesome. All right. Colin.
Hello, so my name is Colin. I first got into the nonprofit world by actually becoming a job coach for adults with disabilities. It's usually called an employment consultant, but people usually know it better as just a job coach. I loved that so much, but I was itching for more, and I really wanted something where I could build community and kind of build more of that. And I wanted to be in one spot more, because when you're a job coach, you're in like 20 places helping 20 different people, right? So I wanted to be in one place to put down roots. And I was very lucky to be just like a lot of other volunteer managers and accidentally end up in volunteer management. It's never something I had originally sought out. If you had told me I was going to end up in volunteer HR, I would have been like, what? Are you sure? But it was the best happy accident. My best friend just happened to send me the job posting. I applied, went through the interview process, and was like, wow, this organization's really cool. This role does sound interesting. And the rest is history. And now I've been able to get involved with Alive as a volunteer, and it's just been great.
Love it. Thank you. And volunteers are one of our most valuable resources. And I just love to see how the field has grown tremendously, building organizations like Alive and others organizations to be able to support. So, Nicole, if you don't mind just talking a little bit about Alive, and what does Alive do for volunteer managers and beyond?
Of course. So the ALIVE stands for the Association of Leaders in Volunteer Engagement, and we basically exist to support, provide professional development for, and networking opportunities for anybody who leads volunteers. So we have mentorship programs, we have professional development webinars, and opportunities for you to connect with other volunteer managers who are in your same sector to gain support and learn how to really integrate volunteer strategy throughout your program for exponential impact and community reach.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm an organization. I'm looking to I have my volunteer manager or person by trade who's now the volunteer manager.
Yes.
So we're like, hey, we're signing up for Alive. Where would you say to start, like to maximize your membership? Where would you say they need to begin to help build themselves professionally?
I would say connect, connect, connect. We have communities of practice where you're able to not only connect with other volunteer managers, but other volunteer managers who are doing the same type of work that you are doing. So we have a group for those who work in healthcare. We have a group for those who work in the arts. So that way you can gain support. If you have those questions that are very specific to your sector, not only are you talking to other people who understand you as a volunteer manager, but a volunteer manager in your particular sector. And then after that, definitely attending the professional development webinars that we have once a month called Alive Academies. This is an opportunity for you to continue to learn and broaden your knowledge and answer questions that you've had and you maybe just didn't even know who to turn to and ask in order to help implement these strategies into your volunteer program to make it robust, but most importantly, meaningful. Because as your volunteers have meaningful experiences, then they will continue to come back. And the more people that come back to your organization, the more meaningful impact you can have in your community.
Thank you. All right. So, Mariana, I hear that there are some upcoming activities and events happening. Do you mind sharing what that is?
Yeah, sure. So for the International Volunteer Managers Day, we are so excited to have this opportunity to celebrate volunteer managers internationally. And here at Alive, we are about shining a light on the amazing people who are behind volunteer engagement, the leaders, the coordinators, the managers, just everyone who help in keeping the community impact moving every day by supporting volunteers every day in their day-to-day lives. And we have created several ways to celebrate uh, these volunteer managers. And you can get these resources on our website under the International Volunteer Managers Day. And so some of these activities that we have been doing, counting down to the day, to November 5th to celebrate the day. We have a fun post that was written by our capable leader, Nicole. And it's basically just, it's a fun read, and it's all about how important it is to invest in volunteer engagement professionals. And I would suggest that you all go and read it. It's very insightful and it's quite interesting. It's things that you never think of, and you can also share it with your leadership to be able to bring in more volunteer engagement professionals in your organization. We also have a T-shirt out with bold colors because today's this year's theme is Be Bold and Make Change. So we have bold colors to honor this theme for our T-shirts, and you can get this on our store. And there's a huge discount if you use our promo code BOLD in caps, because we are being bold and we're gonna make change. And we also have a fun curated playlist, Spotify playlist that we curated with the committee. And it's full of upbeat, empowering songs that will keep your energy up while you make impacts. And also the cherry on top of this whole thing is our virtual brunch celebration. And to tell you more about it, I'm going to pass the virtual mic to Colin, who can tell us more about it and what to expect on the day of.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Colin.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Thank you, Marianne. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. So for International Volunteer Managers Day, a group of us got together and started brainstorming what we wanted to do. And what we settled on is this virtual brunch where we can all get together. So it's 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're on the West Coast like me, just remember to change that time frame a little bit. And we have an amazing special guest. So Nicole mentioned this earlier. We have Melissa Rhodes Carter from the Walmart Foundation. She's their senior manager in community resilience for the Caring and Connected Communities portfolio. And so part of what she's going to be doing, which is really wonderful, is kind of highlighting how vital volunteer managers are in volunteerism, because you can't have volunteers necessarily without the volunteer managers behind the scenes coordinating all of that. So that's going to be part of why she's joining us. But with this whole brunch, really the goal is just celebrate and have fun with volunteer managers. I think the big thing is we want people to be bold. So like invite your supervisors, even your CEO, invite anybody, right? Because we want them to also be able to hear what Melissa has to say and to be able to celebrate you and see our community celebrating each other in this way. Because then they're like, oh, hey, okay, so this is important. Got it. And it's really important because we want to make change in the field by networking too, right? Like Nicole said, one of the biggest things that's so helpful with Alive is the networking opportunities. There's so many different ways to get involved with networking at Alive. Attending events like these is just one. There's presenter boot camps. There's the mentor program. There's so many options. But even just joining one of these events, if you don't have time for those other things, can really help a lot. And again, volunteer managers, I like to call myself a cheerleader for volunteerism. And I'm a cheerleader year round, right? And so being able to be a part of a special day where we get to celebrate us, I think is really fun, because I'm like, I love being a cheerleader year round, but having one day where people are cheering me on too makes me feel really special and seen. And sometimes we don't always get the recognition in volunteer management, and that's something that we're just really trying to advocate for with events like these. So part of what we're going to do throughout the brunch is really connect and share on topics that are meaningful, right? So even something like just what does being a volunteer manager mean to you, right? Having that word cloud where we can connect through that. What is your favorite way to celebrate your impact on volunteer engagement, right? Because we need to celebrate our impact too. And then also recognition shout outs. So since we have people coming from all over to attend this event, I couldn't necessarily plan ahead and give people certificates. So what I did was came up with this opportunity where we can all post names and little blurbs about why we're honoring this person for that recognition. So for example, there will be an above and beyond one, right? And so that's of course for someone who goes above and beyond, making volunteers feel welcomed, valued, supported, connected, and whose passion is uplifting others and strengthening the field of volunteer engagement. And so things like that, then, if their CEO is there, they can be like, oh, you know what? I'm actually going to give this person a shout out. And so then when that person gets to see, oh my gosh, my CEO just gave me a public shout out. How cool is that? That's really special. And so that's really a big part of what we're going to be doing, just celebrating, having fun for that hour together. And I'm just, again, really grateful to be part of the celebration with Alive. Alive is the best. I thrive with Alive. Thank you, Nicole. Thrive with Alive. I just love it. So yeah, I could pass it back to you guys, but I'm just really excited about this event. And again, 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern time on November 5th.
Awesome.
And Colin, I'll just jump in, and I like to call them, and I saw this book too. It's called We're Volunteer Leaders. Hey.
I love that. It's perfect.
Love it. So, okay. So a few things. I got so many questions. So one being, I'm gonna, Colin, do you mind sharing the website? Like, where do we go to register?
Let me pass that to you, possibly Nicole, because I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I believe it's through the Live website.
Yes, absolutely. If you go to volunteeralive.org and you go to the homepage and you'll see our calendar and you click on the event calendar and you go to November 5th and you register. Registration is free and we would love everybody to come. We want to see so many people to come out and also support Melissa for coming out, because it's very rare that people come out and speak on behalf of volunteer engagement managers. So we want to also show and shower her with our support as well.
Love that, love that. And we'll definitely make sure that we drop that link in the group so that you all can register for it. So our group is comprised of a mixture. We have interns, executive directors, different levels within a nonprofit organization. We have board members. So if you all could just talk to a minute, the importance of organizations investing in their volunteer managers, their volunteers, and celebrating a day like this. And then also, I know you shared opportunities where they can register them for the brunch and do different things. What's some other things they can do as well to show appreciation? I know that was quite a few questions in one, but anyone you want to tackle, we can just let me know.
So I'll tackle the importance, right, with all the different audiences that are listening. Our volunteer managers are typically in the background. Most volunteer managers don't want to be in the front. They just want to be in the back doing their thing. But what happens is often out of sight, out of mind. And all these wonderful things happen, but people, then they will thank everybody. They'll thank the volunteers. They'll thank the staff. They'll thank, all these different people, but they'll forget to thank the volunteer manager, the person who is in the back. And just because we're in the background doesn't mean that we don't want the appreciation. We still want to feel appreciated, and like the work and everything that we're putting into it matters. So take that time out, seek out that person who organizes and mobilizes your volunteers in your organization. At the very least, send them a thank you, give them a little gift, like just at the very least, just say you are seen and you are heard, and we value your contributions to the organization. I like to tell people, if you're at the executive director level or a senior level, invite your volunteer manager to a next upcoming meeting where you all are making large decisions for the organization. And if there's any type of capacity building aspect of it, invite your volunteer manager, because they might have solutions that you may have never thought of. Invite them in, or if maybe you don't want to invite them to that meeting, but invite them and have a one-on-one conversation and talk about what capacity building in your organization can look like. And people have this thought that, volunteers, all they can do is lick envelopes and do all the grunt work that staff doesn't want to do. But there are skilled volunteers who are out there who are creating return on investment and reports. They're doing data analysis. They are creating. We had a volunteer. She was an intern, but she was also a volunteer at our organization who did an analysis on this marketing thing that we did in the department, and everybody hated doing it. But nobody had taken the time to say, is this really worth our time and investment? And it was her semester project. And I thank her to this day, because after she presented to our marketing director, who was adamant about us stuffing programs with flyers, and she showed how much time and money it was wasting, they cut the program and they're like, we don't need to do this anymore. Until this day, we are still celebrating. So, it's not necessarily the stuff that people don't want to do. Maybe it's those really urgent projects, but you don't have the time to do it. Don't be afraid to get a skilled volunteer in there. And as you're bringing volunteers in, that's what community is about. When people feel that they are needed, that they feel that they are able to give back and be a part of something bigger than themselves. There's a book, it's called 7 Scientifically Proven Facts That Helping Others is Good for Yourself. As people volunteer, it's good for them. So inviting them into that, and that just makes us stronger communities across the board. And so having somebody like a volunteer manager who knows how to identify skills and put them in the right places and plug them in, volunteers are going to keep coming back. And if you have volunteers keep coming back, they're going to talk about the wonderful experience that they have, which means your recruitment efforts are going to be just a little bit easier because now people are talking about what a wonderful organization it is. And at the end of the day, you're going to have exponential impact because you have people who are coming back who feel welcomed, who feel valued, and they're also and feel like they are part of the community and full of purpose. So I know that was a lot, but I'm just so passionate, about it. And often the last thing I'll say is people will not take into account a skilled volunteer manager, right? When it's money, right? And you have volunteers and donors, you have somebody who is stewarding that donor, like they've given their money. They want to make sure that they know where the money is going and everything is, they want to make sure that the donor is taken care of. Volunteers give their time, which is something you can never get back. Once that's gone, it's gone. So why wouldn't we invest in somebody who is making sure that somebody who is giving their time has the same type of experience as somebody who is giving their money? Money can come and go. You can always make more money. You will never get time back, which is that most precious commodity. Now, I understand money doesn't always, time doesn't always pay the bills, right? So people will overlook it, but investing that time eventually can turn into dollars, right? So it's don't overlook it. Don't put it on the back burner. And volunteers will continue to come back if they are made to feel welcome and like they're doing something meaningful. So having that strategic volunteer manager is somebody who knows how to do that. But if you just pull anybody off of the street and like, oh, I volunteered once, I can manage these volunteers. Not necessarily. And then what happens? You lose volunteers, you lose capacity, and now you're having to recruit new volunteers because the person in charge didn't really understand the nuances of volunteer engagement. So I am just so passionate about, if you have the funding and if you're doing your strategic planning, plan for somebody whose expertise is in volunteer engagement. Look for somebody with a CVA, which is the Certified Volunteer Administrator. That's somebody who is certified in volunteer engagement, who understands that by cultivating your volunteers in a way that makes them feel welcome and special, it's only going to help the organization on a larger scale in ways that people would never imagine.
I love that. So, and let me ask you this, because so like there's certain professions within the nonprofit industry, such as fundraisers, and you'll hear things like, if you're not getting a full-time fundraiser, then you might as well not hire one. Like you need to wait, because of the cultivation process and all of that. And you talked just now about, like, if you have the budget, hire a CVA, someone with experience, to manage your volunteer programs. Would you say does that what I've shared about the fundraiser also apply with a volunteer manager role, or is it something you can start out with maybe hiring someone part-time that's a CVA, and then eventually, as you continue to grow your capacity, moving that position up?
You can definitely hire somebody part-time, but hire them with the intention of helping and helping them grow and giving them those resources. It's one of the reasons why, if somebody starts, even if it's a full-time person and they've never been in the field, get them involved in Alive, because we have all of the resources, the templates, the connections, the networking, all of those things to help support them in their growth, that they don't have to start from scratch. Just because you're coming into this profession and you've never done it before doesn't mean you have to bang your head against the wall and try to figure it all out. You have over 1,000 members nationwide willing to help you move forward, guide you, and literally just be the shoulder to cry on the days that it gets difficult. And because there's nothing like having a volunteer come up to you and yell at you and tell you don't know what you're doing with your job. You're just like, what? But you're like 85 and a grandmother. Nobody, you talk to your grandkids like, it can be a very emotionally unstable type of situation. But just to know that you have a network of people out there who are there to support you and talk you through all of that, there's nothing money can't the money can't buy. Like it's so invaluable. It's so invaluable.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, I truly appreciate you all coming on, talking about International Volunteer Managers Day, along with the importance of organizations investing in their volunteer programs through volunteer managers. Does anyone have anything else that they would like to share before we close out today's conversation?
Yeah, real quick, if it's okay, I'd love to add everything Nicole said, absolutely. One thing that I like to kind of advocate for is I feel like volunteer managers are somewhat of a bridge between volunteers and the organization, right? And so if there's a conversation happening on the leadership level that involves volunteers and the volunteer manager is not there, that bridge is no longer there. And that's something that's really important because volunteer managers, we always have the perspective of 20 different hats at any time. And we're always thinking about the organization, protecting the organization, making sure that there's structure, longevity, growth, safety, all of that. But we're also advocating for the volunteers, making sure that their experience is fun, accessible, exciting, empowering, that like it gives back to them as well, right? And so that's something that I always say is if there are any conversations about volunteers, there should be a volunteer engagement professional at the table for those conversations. This is an incredibly beneficial field where the more we can grow our volunteer programs and expand internships and things like that, we can also occasionally offset a little bit of those costs, right? Maybe we might need one less cashier role because we have like 10 volunteer cashiers now, right? And that offsets things a little bit because we want to pay our staff really fair wages. We also want to be able to benefit from donated time. And so it's kind of a nice win-win when you can really invest in that. So that's just the one thing is we're bridges, and bridges are so important.
Mm-hmm. They are. I just want to throw something out there really quick because Colin, that was awesome. Not only are they bridges between leadership and the volunteers, they are also bridges between the organization and the community, because they are hearing from volunteers who are in the community and they can take that back to leadership about what the community really wants. So bridges in all kinds of ways. Yes, all the way around. And just to tag on to what he said about, sometimes we may not necessarily need an extra cashier position because we can have 10 volunteer cashiers, but that's not to replace that cashier. That's where we can move them into more mission critical places where we can have somebody doing more mission critical work instead of having them sitting and they have a lot of expertise in another area that they can be sharing and benefiting the organization. So we're not out here trying to take people's jobs, right? We're just trying to alleviate spaces to make more room for people who have expertise in other areas to meaningful, impactful work for them. Well, because sometimes they don't want me. Some of them don't want meaningful. They just want to show up and go home because they're like, I worked all day. I just want to stuff envelopes, but others don't. But that's what is so beautiful about the volunteer managers, that they're able to determine which is which and fit people in those roles to help benefit the organization, building that capacity and also creating capacity for staff to be able to do more mission critical things as well.
I love that. And as you're talking, I'm just thinking about how volunteers touch each, different departments within your organization. You talked about them being able to communicate that marketing. They're like your best marketers, being able to kind of share the word of what you're doing. I remember seeing some volunteer campaign. It was like a virtual volunteer campaign where I think they sent out postcards to all the volunteers. They handwritten it and then they mailed it out to others to kind of keep the word going. And they were able to reach like thousands at a time because of volunteers dedicating their time. And not only that, online you saw the buzz because volunteers started sharing pictures of look what I'm doing, and they're tagging their friends, come on, join me. Like they're able to kind of go out and reach places that as your team probably can't even reach. So I love that you talked about that, that they're the best communicators. And I was just thinking about the different like departments within the organization. Donors, like a lot of volunteers, they start out as volunteer and they become donors at some point because they really believe in the mission of what you're doing and they are able to experience it firsthand. So I love all that you are sharing and just the value that volunteers bring to the organization. And unfortunately, volunteers are sometimes the role that often goes overlooked, or is the first position to like kind of consider if we had to take someone out. That's the position we're going to take out, not realizing that, like you said, it's a mission critical, like this is an important role within, your organization. So thank you for sharing that.
I love to say that a positive endorsement from a volunteer is the best advertising that money can't buy.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. So I just, like we said, International Volunteer Managers Day is coming up on November 5th. I actually have the opportunity and honor to sit on the international committee. And this isn't something that's just celebrated here locally. On the committee, there's people from England and Ireland and Canada. Like literally, this is a worldwide celebration. And we look at it as it's our Christmas. It's that one day a year where we have the opportunity to be recognized. And so since we are the Association of Leaders in Volunteer Engagement, we wanted to take time to just like blow it out, right? Because for us, really, the rest of the year, it really is about everybody else. But every once in a while, we would like that thank you too.
Love it. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today and sharing about the upcoming International Volunteer Managers Day. Not to be confused with International Volunteer Day, which is December 5th.
Correct.
So I truly appreciate you all coming on and just having this conversation. And those of you tuning in, if you don't have a volunteer program or if you do have one, I'm sure you got value out of the conversation and things to consider. And your next step is to go over to volunteeralive.org,
yes.
Go to the calendar and sign up and register your volunteer managers, or even you register for the upcoming events that's taking place. So I appreciate you all coming on, and we'll see everybody next time on Nonprofit Enthusiast Live. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.